Hello and welcome to another review of a film that I've watched on Mubi. This time I'm reviewing the 1995 film Showgirls, directed by Paul Verhoeven. Now, I'd never seen this film before. I noticed it was on Mubi, but after watching Pleasure, and given that both these films are about the sex industry more or less, I thought I'd take the opportunity to watch it. Unfortunately, I've noticed that at least in the UK, it's about to go off Mubi. So by the time you watch this, it may well no longer be on Mubi and you may have to seek it elsewhere. But I still thought it was useful to provide the review and contrast it with Pleasure. Now, let me just start by saying that these films are very different. I think Pleasure has much more worthy aims than Showgirls. So at one level, it's not right to compare them because I think they are not directly comparable. I'll come to the comparison later, but let's talk a bit about Showgirls. So I knew little about this film apart from the fact that Verhoeven was criticised a lot for it, and it was controversial, and it was generally regarded as not a good film. I knew that about it, but so I started, and 5 minutes in, I was struck by just how bad the acting was. It was a B movie, trashy type TV type acting, not natural at all, badly acted, but with a real earnestness and seriousness. And after about 5 minutes, I was thinking, do I really want to watch this? It just wasn't grabbing me. I think about 10 minutes in, we arrive in one of the big hotels in Vegas, and we see the first musical number. This is a musical. It's got several musical numbers in. Now, bearing in mind that I am not a big fan of musicals, I really liked the music in this film. I liked it because it's over the top, it's really intense, it's really high energy. So when we see the first number from this show in Vegas, it kind of grabbed me by the throat. I was just enthralled by it, and it's trashy. It's not amazing music. It's in poor taste. There's nudity. It's still in that kind of trashy mold, but I just became really excited by this film, and I was really engaged from that point on. It was, strangely compelling in a kind of trashy TV type of way. It made me think of that. I saw Werner Herzog talking about watching, I think he was talking about watching the Kardashians and about, not underestimating the importance of trashy TV, and that it's important that he sees the world that he lives in. I think he even goes as far as saying the poet should not avert his eyes, and I don't know whether I can use that as a justification for enjoying this type of trashy entertainment, but I definitely did enjoy it. It's kind of so I think different people will definitely view this film differently, but for me, it's a kind of skillfully made bad quality film. It's deliberately bad quality, and when I was a little way in, I of course remembered Starship Troopers, because I think Starship Troopers, another Verhoeven film, is very similar. It's it's kind of badly made. It's over the top. It's kind of ridiculous acting, but I thoroughly enjoyed it. And I think that this, whereas that was a kind of space action trashy TV type movie, this is a similar thing in relation to the sex industry in Vegas, or kind of the Showgirls. It also made me think of the film Machete by Robert Rodriguez, because I think that also is very similar. It's kind of in bad taste. It's really silly at times, but just really, for me, really entertaining. Kind of bad taste, but thoroughly enjoyable. Not for everyone, but definitely I like it. What I would say about this film is some scenes are gratuitous. The lap dance that we see is titillating. You know, there's no irony, there's no questioning in the way that we see with Pleasure that I reviewed last time. The pool sex scene is ridiculous. It is kind of gratuitous. It is explicit, but it's really silly. And the rape scene is really horrible. Although there is revenge, but I think both the rape and the revenge, I think they're very much seen through male eyes. That was my impression. So I think there are things that, you know, make this film in extremely poor taste and, you know, would be the reason why people wouldn't like the film. So I said it's not fair to compare it with Pleasure, but it is interesting to compare it because both are about the sex industry in the US. Both are about this main character really ambitious and going to try and make it, ready to go to any lengths to make it in the industry. And I think both can be seen as a metaphor for capitalism and consumerism, and I kind of have that element of critique about it. I mean, as I say, I think Pleasure is a more serious, earnest film. It's not deliberately provocative, and it's definitely not titulating. I think that Showgirls is just deliberately provocative and deliberately gratuitous, let's say. I think the one thing you can note about these two films is that in Showgirls, Nomi gets revenge in a way that doesn't happen in Pleasure. She more explicitly hurts the bad guys and rejects the industry. Pleasure is more ambiguous in its end. We're not really quite sure what Bella's going to do. She may be rejecting it, she may not be. And so I think that heavy-handed as it is and in bad taste, I think that Showgirls does have that kind of justice and sense of kind of coming, see the woman having agency in a way that maybe Pleasure doesn't. Just one other thing to say that's also on Mubi, the film You Don't Know Me, which is an excellent documentary about how Showgirls has achieved cult status over the years, because although it was a dramatic failure when it came out, it has, having seen the documentary now, it follows how it's become a really significant cult film with a big following. And the documentary really is just a really good reflection of both the critics of Showgirls and the fans of the film, and is a great companion piece to watching Showgirls. So if you're going to watch Showgirls, I would highly recommend watching You Don't Know Me as well, which is still on Mubi. Next time I'm going to review The Worst Person in the World by Joachim Trier. See you next time.